Peggy 3.
Welcome to another episode of The Boot Room, the show where myself and Darren Cross and Match Magazine discuss the nuances of FIFA 14 so you can spend more time playing it. Darren, what's the topic this week?
So this week we're looking at build-up play and simple ways to keep the ball moving and create chances in FIFA 14.
Now we're not talking about being boring here and just passing it around the back, are we? We're talking about mixing it up with your attacking play or your counter-attacking play in order to score a goal and win the game.
Yeah, exactly. These tips are really useful for when the other team has got 10 or 11 players behind the ball and you need to actually break them down. You know, I think if you've got an opportunity to break quickly and they're not behind the ball, then do it. But when they're all behind the ball, this is the way that I like to create chances.
Okay, so where should we begin?
I think the first tip is not to sort of rush forward and pass to players that have then got nowhere to go. I think the temptation when you get possession is to think attack, 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 and sometimes you sort of rush forward passes, and what you may find is that you give the ball to a striker and then he's got no options. He's surrounded by players, you've effectively passed him into trouble. So it's worth taking the time to just make that build-up count by keeping hold of the ball and moving it around the team, which is hopefully going to create some space and give you some opportunities.
I found that before. I pass to a player and they become completely isolated.
Yeah, I think the trick is to think about what they're going to be able to do when you give them the ball. You're almost trying to think sort of 2 moves ahead, 2 passes ahead. Where's the ball going to go once it's gone into him? And if there isn't a clear sort of, oh yeah, that's where I'm going to go, then it's probably not a good idea to give it to him in the first place.
So it's being aware of the player you're passing to, but also the team around him.
Exactly, yeah. You kind of have to look at not just where the ball's going, but what's happening around the player that you're passing to.
So if you do find yourself passing to a player that you feel is isolated and it's too late, what can you do?
Well, one of the things I like to do if that happens is to just play a quick ball back to the player that gave it to my player in the first place. It's just a first time pass back. It's simple, it's the way you're facing, and what you might find is that the defending team then follows the ball a little bit, and that's where, again, the space can be created. Then you may get an opportunity then to go back to the striker who has got a little bit more space than he had before. So if that does happen and you are finding yourself isolated, sometimes a quick first time ball back to the player is really sort of rewarding.
Yeah, and I guess it's also worth saying not to always send a player on a run using LB when you do that. So you do have the opportunity to pass back actually towards your own goal in order to make space.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of the temptation is to sort of hold LB and go for that 1-2. But if you do that when your player's facing you and then you overlap him, you're really cutting out all of his options then. There's nowhere for him to play the ball. So just use 1-2s at the right time. And like I say, if you are isolated, get that ball back and build the attack again.
So in FIFA 13, when you got into the final third, it could feel quite congested, but what you're saying is sometimes come out of that congestion to actually find another route to goal.
Yeah, exactly, and often just being simple and playing the way that you're facing is going to help you with that. It might not seem very flash, and I know the temptation is to let's try and play a through ball or a really smart pass and perhaps sort of rush it or sort of force it, but by playing a simple passing game and often by playing the way that you're facing, you'll find that you keep the ball moving, which in turn keeps the opponent's defence moving around, and then again, hopefully this all comes back to creating spaces and gaps for you to take opportunities.
Now the safest way to pass is obviously along the ground using the short pass, but do you ever use the long pass to actually make space and switch play?
Yeah, I do, particularly if I'm in if I've got a lot of players around me and it is all very congested and I can see that I've got a midfielder or a fullback on the other side of the pitch in loads of space, then often a lob pass or occasionally a driven pass is really good just to get the ball over to the side of the pitch, and again, what you do then is you force the other team's team shape to follow the ball across, and hopefully that's where spaces open up.
But when playing long balls and switching play in that manner, I guess that's governed by how good your player is at actually passing the ball.
Yeah, exactly, which is why it's worth taking the time to get to know your players, even if that just means a quick flick through the management screen and a quick check of the profile just to see what their long passing and short passing stats are, and also what their vision is, because that's obviously related to passing also. So your more ambitious passes, I would certainly try those with basically your best passers.
Yeah, I know it's an old cliche, but you can only win if you have possession of the ball.
Exactly, yeah, you're not going to score without it, so that's why it's such an effective game plan. And actually I find really good passing teams are the hardest to play against. I'd rather play against someone that's good at skills or someone that's got a very fast team. Somebody that can really pass the ball around the pitch can be a really difficult opponent, which is why it's such a good idea to learn how to do that yourself, and particularly with the changes to teammate intelligence, because you will get better opportunities.
Great tips, Darren, as always. What are we looking at next time?
Next time we're going to look at celebrations, and there are a lot of new ones in there, so I thought we'd focus on those.
Great, look forward to it. Don't forget, you can catch Darren Cross in Match Magazine every Tuesday. We'll see you next time on The Boot Room.